So you're a business owner and you're wondering to yourself, am I putting enough into my 401k? Should I be contributing to a 401k? Is a 401k the right plan to be contributing to? These are all good questions, and today we're going to dive in on those for just a little bit. Hi, I'm John Norberg, and welcome to the Financial Prof series. So a question that I get all the time is, should I be investing in my 401k if I already own a business that I'm investing into? And the answer is, it depends. Although usually yes. So we're going to go through this from three different levels, right? One is, what if you did nothing? Two is, what if you did the max? And three is, what if you're somewhere in between, and which one's the best fit? So let's start with number one. What if you did nothing? Are there any reasons not to be contributing to an employer-sponsored retirement plan if you are in fact the business owner, that is the employer? Well, the short answer is yes. Let's say you're, maybe a couple years out of law school and you've just started private practice under your own name. This is something that maybe cash flow is pretty tight and you want to pour that money back into the business to keep it growing. This could be a very legitimate reason, especially considering that student loan interest isn't exactly cheap either, to not contribute to a 401k right now. It is important to remember in a case like that, though, especially if you're coming, from a large student loan type of background, that there are options now for 401ks where you can set it up such that yourself or perhaps even any employees get some kind of benefit for paying your student loans that can go in as an employer match to the 401k. But we already did a video on that. The other reason not to contribute to a 401k that I do oftentimes see, other than your early stage, your business is still growing and you really want to invest in it, is if you've got a year where maybe cash flow is tight because your business has been growing for a while, but maybe there's a major expansion, which by investing in that expansion, the payoff is probably going to be better potentially than if you would put that money into the 401k. So a temporary cessation rather than a permanent cessation of your 401k contributions, right? So number two, what if you did the max? Why would you want to do that as a business owner? So if you did the max contribution, which by the way, in 2024, you can put in up to $69,000 between your contributions and the contributions from your business. And you can structure that in a couple of different ways. We can talk about what's best for you. But if you have a cash balance plan, you can actually put in hundreds of thousands of dollars on top of that initial $69K. So we're talking at this point about at least tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars into a retirement vehicle, not just a 401k, although that's usually part of it. What's the reason to do that? Well, probably the biggest reason is because it can be a pretty nice tax shelter, right? We've talked about this in previous videos, but the 401k in a tax-deferred side, that is a traditional or pre-tax 401k, is a huge benefit if especially you've gotten to the point where your cash flows and your personal income is gotten really high, and I'm talking, not just $200,000 or $300,000 necessarily, but like north of $500,000, north of $1 million. This is a good way to start sheltering a large chunk of that income from Uncle Sam. Now, there are reasons not to do this too, and instead consider other avenues, because remember, anything you put into a pre-tax account is eventually going to get taxed when you do take it out one day. And considering that we're in a pretty favorable tax code scenario right now, in other words, historically speaking, it's pretty low, especially on the upper echelons of the tax code. Maybe that is the best strategy, maybe it's not, or maybe it's a combination. Do some Roth, do some regular pre-tax contributions. But if you maxed it out, that's what you'd be looking at, and really the biggest reason is because it's going to give you a huge tax write-off potentially, but also because those funds now are in a retirement account and going to be more flexible, say for instance, than maybe another fixed asset for the business or the business itself. A big part of this is also future planning, right? Life insurance is all well and good and should be part of that strategy, but it's also really nice to have an asset that's liquid and ready to go for retirement. I work with a business owner here in the area, for instance, who, even though he has owned a business for many decades, has always assiduously maxed out his retirement accounts in addition to growing his business, because he wants to make sure that when he does retire here in the not too distant future, he's going to have a big old pile of money whether or not his business sells when and how he wants it to. So that's a really good reason as well. All right, finally, number three. What if you do somewhere in between? What does that look like, and where is that a good fit? So as a business owner, you don't necessarily have to contribute the absolute max every year. but it's probably good to contribute at least something. And what that is, well, most easy and obvious thing is cash, right? Cash out of payroll that you're contributing to your 401k. But one thing that you can also do is contribute pieces or shares of your business to a 401k or IRA, more like, in a self-directed IRA, excuse me. So in a self-directed IRA, it can hold pretty much anything, and it is a retirement account, right? This is something that we can talk about if you're curious, but we're not really going to cover it very much in this video, other than to mention it is a possibility. And usually this is where you land somewhere in between, is contributing some shares from a business, for instance. But if you want, one of the easiest ways to do the in-between approach is essentially making sure your 401k is up and running, and then setting it up with a match so that if you have any employees especially, they're happy because they're seeing that you are invested in their success. And then you personally contribute at least as much as you need to get up to that match. And then maybe some more on top of that, right? Because you want to have something for retirement other than just your business. But it at least allows you that flexibility of relatively liquid market-based investments in that case, where you can just pull off of it whenever you need to, again, subject to certain rules, like being age 55 or 59 and a half. And that's a nice kind of in-between. So if any of these options sound like something you'd like to talk over with a certified financial planner and figure out, what's the best fit for me? Where do I actually want to land for my retirement based on what my goals are? Because ultimately that should be what's governing us, is what our future goals are, not, I picked a number out of thin air and it seemed good to me. Give us a call or drop us a line. We'd love to chat more about what you want to accomplish and help you out on the way. In the meantime, I'll see you out there.